Hey, it's Adam from Outlier, and looking forward right now to getting into what we learned from week one of the NFL because it is in the books. Well, Sunday Night Football still has to finish, but it's in the books as of time of this recording. So let's get into it. First things first, as we talked about earlier in the week, there was some sharp money moves that were on certain teams. Some of those sharp moves, like on the Colts, didn't work out. The Patriots didn't work out. But remember when I mentioned that 86% of the money was on the Bucks? Well, the Bucks won outright. That's not saying again to blindly tail sharp money, but it is something worth noting when that happens on spreads. So looking ahead to next week, what we want to look at is teams that either that lost last week that the public is probably things can bounce back, and dogs that they might think got lucky. So a pretty important trend: underdogs in week 2 that are playing teams that lost in week 1. They're 69, 48, and 5 ATS since 2005. That's a cover rate of 60%. When that dog is off of a loss themselves, the cover rate's even better. They're 42, 23, and 2 for a 65% cover rate. So what that's saying is that there's a perception about the opponent that these underdogs are playing in week 2. There's a perception that the opponent is going to bounce back like crazy. So we're looking for dogs that are playing teams that lost the week before. Those teams, Commanders are going to be a dog this week. The Ravens are a dog this week. The Jags are a dog this week, and the Titans are a dog this week. Titans actually fit the second trend of being off a loss themselves. So that's a big green flag of you might want to look and back the Titans. They're getting 3 points at home to the Chargers. I think that that's a great one. Me personally, I've already bet the Jags against the Chiefs. I think that the public is going to be thinking like, wow, the Chiefs are going to bounce back. Trends say this, but also Jags look pretty great against an inferior division opponent, which was a tough spot for them. So something to look at also is on Mondays, teams don't practice, but what they do is they put out notes as if somebody had practiced. So you'll see so-and-so was limited at practice. They didn't actually practice, but it's what would have happened if they did practice. This is really important to look at on Mondays because you get a sense of where something's going during the week. If a tackle suddenly pops up as limited on Monday, that's kind of a warning sign because it might be something bigger that they aggravated that's going to happen later in the week. Another thing to note, and this is key for Monday Night Football because when you watch this, it's going to be on Monday and you'll have Monday Night Football. Primetime unders. Games on primetime are 126, 84, and 3 ATS. That's a 60% under rate since 2019. That whole stat is to the under. 15.3% ROI. So the Jets and Bills, I love the under in this game. They're 57% of the tickets are on the under, but 87% of the money is on the under. And this is similar to what we talked about with the Bucks last week. So sharp action. I'm a fan of it on this one. It supports a trend. I've said in the past that these are both two teams that have really not great offensive lines and have pretty strong defenses. So I think that the under, which opened at 47, I believe it's down to 44.5. You can line shop that through Outlier. I still like it at 44.5. But I think the under is a really strong play tonight. Something to also look at when you're looking at an under or any sort of total is think about what the score is going to be of that game. If you think the score is going to be 31-21, probably don't want to do an under 47. But if you think, hey, 24-17, that goes under 44.5 because that's only 41 points. So that's something to think about. Always think about what the score is going to be. So to recap, we're looking in week 2. We're going to be looking at teams that are dogs that are playing teams that are off a loss themselves because they cover very, very well. Specifically, we're looking at the Jags and the Titans because the Titans fit the other trend of being off a loss themselves. We want to look at practice notes to see who's popping up as injured and seeing where those first kind of moves are during the week. And on primetime games, look, we're just going to look at unders on these things because these are highly watched games and the trends are overwhelmingly supporting this, especially with this Bills and Jets game. Thanks again for stopping by. Like, subscribe. We're going to have another video on Wednesday, another one on Friday. NFL's here. I'm pretty excited. Thanks again for stopping by.